Hey, influencers. Hello. Good evening. Good day to you, wherever you are in the world. Listen, I want to welcome you to Behind the Screen Business Confessions with your girl, Anika Cohen. I'm super excited to again have another real, raw conversation to motivate, support, and uplift our leaders in the marketplace to propel forward with clarity, confidence, and strategy. So I am super excited that you are here to have another conversation to uplift you and motivate you on your journey, right? As you pursue purpose, as you continue to serve your community. Come on here, somebody. So listen, if you are new to the channel, I want you to be no stranger. Go ahead and comment below. I definitely comment back. So I want to thank you for being here. Go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel so that way you could be notified of all of our upcoming shows. And so listen, tonight's conversation, yes, it's definitely a conversation that I think needs to be had when it talks about leaders serving in the community, doing what it is that we are called to do. And so this show is for leaders, those individuals who are saying yes to purpose, who are living out their purpose, right? Their assignment, something that is greater and bigger than themselves, and you decided to say yes to that. And so it is challenging in you living out purpose. It is challenging when you say yes to your God-given assignment, utilizing your gifts and your talents to serve, right? Come on here, somebody. It's no small task. It's not an easy thing to do. But when you say yes and you show up, not for yourself, but for others, for the kingdom, to serve, to do what it is that you were called to do, I commend you. So this is what this show is all about, having the conversations about what goes on, right? Particularly what goes on in your thoughts, what goes on in your mind, what goes on in your secret conversations with yourself, to yourself. Come on here, somebody. And that's what I want to begin to shed light on. That's what I want to begin to normalize in the marketplace with leaders, having the real raw conversations of not just all of the wins, not all of the successes, but also the challenges, because the challenges are definitely challenging. Okay. But I know that in those challenges is someone else's solution, is someone else's problem solver. We have their resource, we have the information, we have the tool that someone needs because we was able to overcome that challenge. And so I want to talk about, yes, I want to talk about tonight the mindset behind your decisions, our decisions to halt. But what I really want to say is to stop your business operations, to stop that event, to stop that workshop, to stop the business altogether, right? To stop the coaching that you are doing, to stop whatever it is that God's called you to do. With what happens when you have the mindset to halt, when you have the mindset to quit, when you have the mindset to give up, when you have the mindset to say, I'm not going to do this anymore because you are no longer in control. Come on here, somebody. And so I want to talk about that because here's the thing. It happens to all of us. It happens to the very one that you look up to. Yes, he or she has been in this position where they may have wanted to give up. They may have wanted to quit. They may have wanted to throw in the towel. I'm done. I'm not doing this no more. We all have those moments. But what I say, have your moment, but don't stay there. Have your moment to cry, to be sad, to acknowledge whatever emotion is going on within your being, but don't stay there. When we stay there, it cripples us. When we stay there, we get stuck. When we stay there, we become complacent. We become comfortable. And that is no position to be in when you want to grow, when you want to evolve and elevate in your God-given purpose, right? So as a counselor, listen, I'm a counselor by trade. That is what I have been called to do and serve my community day after day. So my 9 to 5, my career is serving my community, those in particular with mental health, substance abuse, or for those individuals who just want additional support. They come in for counseling, they come in for that support to work through challenges, to work through hardships, to work through those moments so they don't give up. And so I want to talk about what that mindset is saying to us when we experience that. Instead of shying away from it, instead of avoiding it, instead of denying that that exists, let's give it sound today. Come on here, somebody. Let's give it sound today. Let's give it a voice today. Let's be its advocate today, because we all have that inner critic that lives with us. Some of us have mastered and disciplined that area to acknowledge it, shut it down, release it, have a coping mechanism to get through that and move forward. Some of us, it arises and we get stuck. We become crippled. We don't know what to do to get out of that. And so we linger and we ponder in that space. No more. We want to acknowledge, accept, and own every area of our being, every experience of our journey. We want to acknowledge, accept, and own it. That keeps you in control. That keeps you regulating your emotional and your mental well-being. So, yes, the mindset behind my decisions to stop my business operations. What was that project? What was that event that you wanted to stop, or that you're even pondering about right now? You have a desire to stop your business or your project, right? And here's what I'm going to read to you on how this can play a part in every area of your life. Because I often say that being an entrepreneur, as I've learned, being an entrepreneur, it will grow you in every area of your life. In every area of your life, it will grow you. It will cause you to mature. It will cause you to grow up. And make better decisions, not just for yourself, but for what it is that you do, the well-being of yourself and others. It will allow you to check in. It will allow you to not avoid and procrastinate, right? You have to show up even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it. So it does force you to evolve and mature and grow. Entrepreneurship has done that for me in every area of my life, financially, right? Spiritually, physically, concerning my relationships, right? The things, how I take care of myself, how I take care of my well-being, right? How I check in for others, having that empathy. Come on here, somebody. So yes, all of that matters. It will grow you. And so the desire to stop your business or projects can often be influenced by a complex, an interplay of psychological, emotional, and situational. Meaning every area of your life. We're going to have circumstances. We're going to have situations that come up. How do you respond? How do you manage your well-being? How do you check in with yourself? What is the conversation that you have with yourself? What is that like? So when situations come up in our personal lives, yes, it can affect us in our business, in the vision, and what God has called you to do. So for those of you who say, I want to start a business, but my life is chaotic. For those of you who say, I want to start the assignment that God has given me. I want to start this vision. I have a great idea, but my life is in turmoil, right? That's when you may be dealing with the imposter syndrome, right? Meaning you think that you got to have it all together. You got to have everything in place. Everything needs to be in alignment before you can move forward in the assignment. Absolutely no. Everything will never be in its place. Everything will not always be all together. So the only time to do it is now. Come on here, somebody. I remember when I first got started in business, talk about someone's life being in turmoil. Okay. It seemed like the very moment I said yes to the idea and gave my life over to my higher calling, that's when life became dysfunctional and chaotic to me. A lot of things were revealed to grow me, to better me. All right. And so I had my children, single parent at that time, had my children. They're making their own decisions. So I definitely struggled with the imposter syndrome. How can I, a woman, all right, of God, a woman who is serving her community as a counselor, but yet my children are acting a fool? Their choices are inappropriate. They're not the right choices, right? Your children are a reflection of you, but again, they make their own decisions. So I had to learn to check in with myself and say, I was still called to serve. I was still called to be a voice and an advocate to my community in this capacity, regardless of what my children are doing in their decisions. That doesn't stop the assignment. And so I know I helped somebody just in that moment, right? Don't think everything in your life has to be together. It never will all be together. You have to still say yes and show up, and things will become together. Things will fall in line because you're saying yes to your assignment, something greater and bigger than yourself. So, yes, it will help you to start checking in. It will help you to start being more mindful of your self care and love to yourself as you serve other people. So, everything has its purpose. Everything has its purpose, right? So, we're dealing with all of these factors. And so, the mindset behind this desire can help us to unpack the underlying motivations and address them effectively. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. I talked about a little bit about that imposter syndrome because it's true. You may struggle with feeling inadequate. Basically, you are not in a position to serve, based on, again, your situations that are personal within your home, right? So this can lead to you saying, nope, I'm not going to do this no more. I am not in a position to say anything to anyone because of these situations within my home, these situations within my finances, or whatever the case may be. No, you are still adequate because you are equipped. You have the information, you have the skills, you have the knowledge. That's not taken away from you. Your gifts or talents come without repentance. So that's a part of who you are, right? Regardless of if everything was all together within my home with my children, I'm still called to serve in that capacity. I'm still called to serve. So I'm still going to show up in that capacity regardless of what's going on. So you might as well go on and do what he called you to do. You might as well go on and just yield yourself, right? And so I want to talk about from my experience, I want to give you things that definitely I've experienced because this is what the conversation is about. And so when we talk about the mindset behind my decisions to halt, um, to stop the business operations, listen, these are the things that can get in the way, the mindset that can get in the way. For me, overwhelmed and stressed. Being overwhelmed and stressed, okay? The constant pressure, the constant demand. I am a single mother raising 4 children. I'm a clinical social worker, licensed, right? Serving my community in substance abuse, mental health. I'm also a minister within my church, right? I serve in that capacity. I'm a servant leader. I'm a business owner. I'm a mentor. There's many things that there are many roles and positions that I fulfill. Talk about being overwhelmed and stressed. Okay. So the constant pressure, the constant demand, deadlines. Come on here, meetings, financial meetings within your business of your church. I'm part of those team meetings. Woo-hoo, right? I'm a supervisor on my job. Talk about making sure your staff is, again, doing what they're supposed to do within the establishment, talking about customer service, right? Expectations, right? Yes. When you are dealing with a lot of roles and positions, you could become overwhelmed and stressed, and immediately you may begin to entertain, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Um, Ain't no more that I can do. My best right now is just not good enough. So what does that cause you to do? Causes you to want to give up. Causes you to want to stop what you're doing because you're exhausted. That's the core of what's happening. Because in that moment, you're being everything to everyone but you. I'm speaking from experience. You're being everything to everyone but you. So when you're being everything to everyone but yourself, hold on, I got to check in. I got to check in with Anika. Wait a minute. I got to find balance because I'm exhausted. I got to find balance because I am overwhelmed. I am maxed out. So I got to find balance. A lot of people ask me, how do you do all of the things that you do? You know, even down to the event coordinating now. Like I just keep adding things to the plate. But I'm finding that these are things that I'm actually passionate about. I'm actually um, good at the craft. So I'm learning things about myself and I'm growing in different capacities. So God says he'll put no more on you than you can bear. So because he's not going to put no more on me than I can bear, it's my responsibility to identify when I'm exhausted, to identify when I'm overwhelmed and I'm stretched beyond my limits, to check in with myself and say, okay, I need to balance. That's what I've learned and learning. So I learned to, again, give others the time. The time that I give for others, I need to give it to myself. So I put me on the calendar. I set time out for Anika, whether that's a getaway, whether that's an international getaway, whether it is going to an event or a comedy show, whatever it is that I want to do, I'm going to put me on the calendar because that's about my happiness. It's about my well-being. It's about loving on me so that I can continue to do what God has called me to do. I cannot serve from an empty well. I choose not to do that. I choose not to project. I choose not to, again, do those negative traits to people because I work with people. Coaching, business owner, I work with people, right? So I have to check in. I learned that you got to do the work within yourself. It means nothing if you don't do the work within yourself. It means nothing. So everything that I teach, I practice because that makes it real. It makes it genuine. It makes it relatable. Because I'm not perfect, right? But I check in with myself. I do the work when it's necessary. And it's always necessary to do the work. It never stops. Come on here. It never stops. Right? So, yeah, being overwhelmed and stressed, whew, you got to change that mindset. You got to identify the emotion and you got to, again, have the balance and give yourself permission to be put on the calendar and do things for your happiness and your well-being. That's it. You have to do that and find that balance. So that way, again, you can serve from being fulfilled, being refreshed, being renewed, being rejuvenated. It works. Okay. And you do that as often as you need to, like within the week, detoxing from social media, right? Detoxing from family and friends. Like, listen, I need a couple days. I'm not, and it doesn't need to be an announcement. It's just things that you start to put in addition to your routine in life, right? So, yes, 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 yes. So, the first one, listen, that mindset that you want to acknowledge is being overwhelmed, being stressed. Okay. You can be overwhelmed, you could be overstressed, but that doesn't mean you have to stop what you're doing, right? Stopping is just an emotion that you're feeling. So you got to check in with the emotion, which we identified as being exhausted. So when you're exhausted, what are you going to do? How are you going to put you on the calendar this year for 2020? Right? I'm going to do a series about things that we should be doing when we talk about renewing and becoming rejuvenated in business, or in life, right? Because these are life skills, right? What you do within your life is how you're going to show up for the vision. It's how you're going to operate in business anyway. So, like I said, a lot of skills I did not have. I learned these skills as I said yes to business, as the vision began to grow and expand. It expanded me, right? So, yeah, yeah, yeah. The next one that I've learned for me, this is number two, that mindset when the comparison and external pressure. Yes. Talk about comparison and external pressure. Comparing yourself to others, especially in the age of social media, can create feelings of inadequacy or self doubt. If you see peers succeeding while you feel stuck, you might consider stopping as a way to escape the pressure. Talk about that. That is real, raw conversation that, again, I think we need to shed light on. Our human beings, we have human nature, right, as human beings. And so some things we're going to all experience at some level in our lives, right? Again, how we respond to those emotions, to those thoughts is what makes the difference. But no one is exempt from experiencing these things, right? And so, yes, I believe that you should have a group of individuals that you aspire to, again, give you that motivation. They give you the motivation that you need. I know I'm a motivator for a lot of people. I'm also an inspiration to a lot of other people. I'm an advocate for some people, like, just to have that confidence. And so it's good to have those individuals in your life, right? It's good to have these people to look up to. What I don't want us to do, once we're looking at these people, subconsciously or consciously, you could begin to compare your life to their life, or what you think it appears as though you're missing because of their lifestyle. So there has to be something you're missing, something you're not doing right, something you're doing wrong. You're starting to question everything you do, although you may not be doing anything wrong. This is your path, your journey, your life. This is their path, their journey, their life, right? And they are being a motivation and an inspiration to you to live the lifestyle or achieve the things that you want to achieve in life. Doesn't mean that you need exactly what they have. It doesn't mean that it has to look exactly the way that theirs is aesthetics. It doesn't have to look like that for it to be success. Doesn't have to be like that for it to be success. Woo! I'm setting somebody free because, again, comparing from the external pressure from social media, from what we see, we will immediately begin to compare our bank accounts, compare our lifestyles. Oh, they must be happy. Everything in their life must be going great. Even if everything is going like in their great, everything is going great in their lives. So what? This is where you are in your journey. It's an experience to grow you. It's an experience to grow you. Is experience to grow you. So that experience is going to grow you to be able to achieve the success that you want to achieve and embrace what you are able to do and have done. Why isn't that enough? So when we begin to question from that place, we got to check our mindset. Let them be your motivation, but that's it. Their lifestyle, their achievements, their success is theirs, and how it looks, it shouldn't look the same for you. And because it doesn't, why is that not good enough? That would be the question that I would ask. It's not supposed to, that's why. So, yeah, I think this is going to have to be a part two, because we are already like, we're getting close to our time to close out our show. But woo, I feel like I have just really been, speaking some good information that I hope you will take with you, and allow it to be a seed that you water. Allow it to be a seed that you water. Allow it to be a seed that you water, meaning, give yourself grace, give yourself the opportunity to master that skill of checking in with yourself, your mindset, and being able to identify the core of what's going on within your being. What's causing you really to stop? What is it why do you really want to stop? Right? I only gave you two so far: being overwhelmed and stressed, being comparison, and the external pressure can also, again, trigger you to want to stop because it's easier, because it doesn't look like so and so. So I must not be doing it right. So I'm going to minimize all of the achievements that I have been able to do. I'm going to dismiss them. I'm going to devalue them because no, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't look like hers. Are you kidding me? What about your sacrifices? What about your risk? What about the things that you have put in, your sacrifices, the time? Come on here. Everyone has a story. And when within that story, there was a problem and they found the solution. Right. And so that's all you're doing. Your story is continuing to evolve and grow. You've conquered many problems. Yeah. You've conquered many problems. So you already have a plethora of resources and information to share. Why isn't that good enough? And that's where I'm going to leave us at today. And we will pick this back up. There will be a part two. Again, I'm going to give you 4 tips. I've given you 2. I'm going to give you 2 more on where your mindset could be. And I know for sure that you'll be able to relate, or you may be able to identify someone who is going through this. Listen, you're not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. I guarantee you, you're not alone. Here, I'll raise my hand. I'll be there. I'll be, listen, I'll be that with you. The one to stand up and just say, these are experiences that I have endured. I've overcome them. I've been able to master them. And that's why I want to have the conversation, because these things are ongoing. It doesn't necessarily say I will never be triggered again, because I have. It doesn't necessarily say that these intrusive thoughts won't pop into my mind, because they will. But when they do, how do I respond? Right? How do I change the narrative? How do I reframe and redirect that thought into purpose, into productivity, right? To something that is positive and meaningful, right? So sometimes we just cannot entertain. We can't entertain the negative mindset, the intrusive thoughts. We can't entertain the doubt, right? We have to be intentional with redirecting those. Okay, so thank you all for your attention. I think that this was a great conversation to have. The mindset behind my decisions to halt, stop my business operations. This is part 1. Okay, we'll be back for part 2. All right. Until next time, influencers, listen, I want you to choose to live. I want you to let me know what you thought of today's show. I would love to hear your comments. And again, let's continue to have the dialogue in authenticity. No judgment. No judgment. Until next time, choose to live.